Raichu just finished in third place of a 150-person tournament last night. And yes, guys, I am not clickbaiting this title. I did indeed get third place with a Raichu last night in the Himi Tournament Tour. There were 150 entrants, and honestly, guys, this team was too fun to not share with you guys. So we're going to do a quick team breakdown. Nothing too crazy here, guys, but just talk about the building process, talk about the team really briefly. And of course, rental, Pokepaste, all that stuff will be down below for you guys to try out. But let's jump into the building process. We're starting with the Raichu. I was going to keep you guys waiting, but we're just going to start with the Raichu right now because there's a lot of things going on. I have tested Nuzzle. I have tested Encore. Citrus Berry is probably one of the wackiest items you could have put on a Raichu, Ryan. Why is there a Citrus Berry? We will talk about that. Trust me, guys, we will. But once again, Raichu used to be really good because it was fast support, right? 110 was considered fast, and now granted it still kind of is. However, there are so many Pokemon that are just faster than that now. It feels a little speed crept by everything, right? So when you can't be a fast support Pokemon anymore, what are you? And that is why Raichu has fallen off, right? Because a lot of the times it was, yeah, you know what, I'm still faster, I can do things, but I'm not faster anymore, I can't really do anything. So what did I do with Raichu? I went Terra Fairy Lightning Rod because it completely walls out Raging Bolt. If the Raging Bolt has something like Protect, 3 attacks, it's probably going to be Thunderclap, Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, and Protect if it does opt for something like that. So this is a 100% answer to Raging Bolt if they opt for no Snarl or anything of the like. Really cool concept. And then we have just your normal moveset on Raichu. There's obviously, like I said, a ton of options, but Fake Out needs to be here. Helping Hand or Encore, both of them should be considered. I went with Helping Hand. I felt like Encore wasn't doing me anything, right? I was trapping something on the field, but then I also just had a Raichu sitting on the field that I just didn't care about. So Helping Hand at least allowed me to say, oh, if they're going to leave Raichu on the field, I'm going to boost up the rest of my team. Helping Hand to Shenpao, Helping Hand to D-Knight, Helping Hand to Entei, right? It just made it so that, okay, Raichu wasn't going to do anything, but Raichu can still do something, right? Okay, you're going to leave Raichu, I'm going to boost the rest of my team up. Whereas before, when I initially had tested Encore on this team, I was trapping you in, but I still just wasn't doing enough damage effectively, which was really annoying. So having Helping Hand was a very good change moving forward off of the first version of the team. But I'm very happy with that I went with Helping Hand over Encore. Upper Hand we will get into in a minute because I'm sure some of you guys already see where this is going. But for those of you that don't, we'll get into Upper Hand in a minute right before the segue to Dragonite. But Electroweb or Nuzzle. Once again, it was one of those concepts where, do I want Raichu to paralyze things or do I want Raichu to just slow things down and maybe do some damage? I tested Nuzzle initially, and the problem is Nuzzle didn't do enough damage. Not that Electroweb is doing damage, but it is capable of doing some decent damage to the likes of Urshifu. Maybe if you pull one of those random Gyarados that have been popping up, right? It is a little bit more offensively minded than what a Nuzzle was. Like when I had Nuzzle Upper Hand Encore, I was doing no damage. So switching to Electroweb at least allows me to do a lot of things and to get into the minds of things, right? Like if I can slow something down, it's also spread damage. I can break a sash on either slot. Don't have to worry about following me with it. It felt correct to me. Once again, Nuzzle is such a good move and getting those paralyses are very nice. But Electroweb just felt a little bit more consistent going in with the team, and that's what we did, right? The spread. So the concept of this spread is actually to live Surging Strikes from Scarf Urshifu. Now, I built this team for best of 1 closed team sheets ladder, right? I don't think this team is heavily equipped for best of 3. This team is built for ladder, right? So the concept was, oh, Scarf Urshifu is going to come in. Scarf Urshifu is going to think they are faster than my Raichu. And Scarf Urshifu is going to click Surging Strike. Scarf Urshifu is no longer going to kill my Raichu. I'm going to get an Electroweb, slow them down. I'm going to be able to get another Electroweb off after that, right? And if they're not Scarfed, I can Electroweb. I can outpace things with my Dragonite. Lots of cool things going on here. But just living that Surging Strikes because of the Citrus Berry from a Scarf Urshifu was the one item I found that I could actually utilize on Raichu. Now, granted, the more common items here are something like an Assault Vest or a Focus Sash, but I have both of those on my team already, and we'll break that down in a minute. But I had to find something. Covert Cloak could have also been cool. I have debated swapping to Safety Goggles. In fact, I think I might swap to Safety Goggles moving forward if I were to keep using this team, but we'll see, because those are the only 2 items I can see actually doing something, right? Obviously, Sash is gone, AV is gone. I tested Covert Cloak. I theoried out Covert Cloak because I didn't want to get faked out, but I have Upper Hand to stop a fake out because I'm just probably the faster fake out user. And I also have Fake Out to stop a Fake Out because I'm the faster Fake Out user. It just didn't feel like Covert Cloak was doing enough. I would recommend either a Goggles so you don't get spored, or this Citrus Berry just to live those Scarf Surging Strikes. It's for fun. It's really, really good. And then the defense's EVs were just basically I want to be on the field as long as possible to be able to get Helping Hands off, be able to get my Electro Webs off, to support the team as much as possible, and live that Surging Strikes. So nothing too crazy there. And why Upper Hand? Because I paired it with Dragonite, and this Dragonite is not choice banded. This Dragonite is, in fact, Terra Normal Weakness Policy, and the concept is I can go with Terra Normal immediately, click E-Speed, but Upper Hand goes before the E-Speed, hits into the Dragonite that is prepping a priority move, but will not flinch because of Inner Focus. So all of a sudden, I am launching +2 Terra Normal E-Speeds into things, and then I have a Raichu on the field beside me to just potentially click Helping Hand next turn, and it's just doing a lot of damage, right? The concept of this team was to do damage. The concept of that was to just get damage off immediately, and if they kill the Raichu, then Shenpao comes in, then I have a +2 Dragonite and doing damage. Like, everybody game plan versus Dragonite. I know when I play versus Dragonite, it's you figure out what move they are locked into, and you're able to play around and adapt accordingly. Here, you take that away, right? You take their ability to say, oh, they're locked, but I'm still hitting just as strong because now I am Weakness Policy. So I'm hitting just as strong if I was banded beside Shenpao without needing to be beside Shenpao, which is absolutely incredible. And I can switch my moves and I can have Protect, right? No one is ready for the Protect on this Dragonite. I do think Stomping Tantrum is a very viable option on this piece over Protect. But Protect got me out of a lot of scenarios where, you know, like they think they have to bully down a Dragonite because I am a +2 Weakness Policy Dragonite. I Protect for a turn. I buy everything else, something else to maybe get some chip damage off. Then E-Speed can all of a sudden chip. It buys me turns because everybody is going to be scared of a Weakness Policy +2 Dragonite. You have to be scared of a +2 Dragonite, right? So having that Protect just gave me a little bit more. You could easily switch that to a ground type move, though. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to make that maneuver. That is perfectly fine. Aerial Ace felt necessary. Just being able to actually do something to Ogerpons, able to do something to those Urshifus, it felt pretty good. You could also almost drop Outrage. I didn't really click it too much, I'm going to be honest. But sometimes when you're able to click Outrage, it just does a lot of damage, and I wanted to have that option. I wanted to have the option of saying, well, what if I don't get the Weakness Policy up? What if I want to just be able to click Outrage and click some damage output? Right? And that's what the Outrage concept was for. The spread, guys, there's nothing too crazy going on right now. I know a lot of Pokemon actually sit at the 107 mark because in Tailwind that outpaces Dragapult, and it basically outpaces the entire format in Tailwind. So what I wanted to do was make sure that I was a little bit faster than that 107 mark. So that's exactly what the speed is for. Then I just said, you know what, we're doing damage, sent max attack, put some into HP, and then just mixed it up a little bit into defense and special defense. Nothing too crazy. I don't think the spread is very, very well formulated, but it's a spread. It does some things. It's a cool mod. It was a fun little strategy, and it was really, really fun when it did work in the tournament. But guys, you're looking at this team and you're probably saying, Ryan, this is a very standard team, and I get that. It is a very standard team, but when you cook and when you test with Pokemon that are kind of outside of the box and so far out of the box like Raichu, right? Like with Volcarona, you can kind of see like Volcarona has some viability. Raichu, it's a gimmick, guys. I'm going to be honest. Like I said before, it has been entirely power crept, sped crept, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't do what it wanted to do anymore. It just doesn't do that in this format. It is not a good Pokemon right now. It is entirely a gimmick. And when you build around a set gimmick, you want to support that gimmick in the best way possible. You want to have a very well crafted team around you. That way the team is still going to function when I can't get the gimmick off and when I can't utilize Raichu, right? And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some just standard stuff from here on out. Nothing is too crazy. We've got the Shenpao Focus Sash. Terra Stellar. I like Terra Stellar. I like being able to put up Sucker Punches into Fluttermane. If I need to get a last minute kill, I can do that. If I need to get the Ice Spinner to Terra Stellar to kill an Amoonguss, I would like to being able to do that, right? I just like being able to have that extra little bit of damage output on all my moves if I so choose. It feels really, really nice. Definitely a necessity in my opinion on this team, but you could easily go Ghost if you are worried about the Dragonite matchup, but I don't think you need to be. Don't think you need to be worried about the Dragonite matchup with this team, but if you're worried about it, you can definitely go. You can throw Ghost there. It's no problem. But once again, guys, standard Shenpao, nothing crazy. 4 into defense for the better Surging Strikes rolls. Other than that, This is the Shen Pao, nothing crazy. Not gonna talk about it any longer. Entei, if I had Shen Pao and Dragonite already, we talked about this a lot at the beginning of the format. Entei felt like the necessity. Entei felt like the necessity on this team. It is that other mode besides Shen Pao that is able to actually deal with Flutter Mane. And Entei did exactly that this weekend. It is your standard AV Entei. Snarl is very good into Psy Spam. Snarl is very good into the Ursaluna Blood Moon stuff. It is very, very strong. Sacred Fire is incredibly strong as well. You fished for a lot of burns with this team. I fished for a lot of burns this weekend. And if your opponent is going to give you the ability to get a burn onto something, you're going to take a burn onto something. Absolutely. Whether it's burning an Urshifu, the format is predominantly physical. Sacred Fire, one of the best moves in the game for that reason. Opted for Terra Grass. The only other option was really normal. But like I said, with a team like this, I really wanted to be on the field for as long as possible with Entei. And Grass felt necessary to do that. So Grass felt like it was keeping me on the field longer, so I opted for Terra Grass Entei, keeping me on the field longer, sitting in front of those Ogre Pawns, basically being able to say, oh, all of a sudden, you cannot hit me, and I can just get 3-4 turns to potentially burn you now, right? Not getting to burn is fine as long as I'm going to be on the field long enough to say, well, eventually I'm going to get a burn. If I start clicking Sacred Fire 4 or 5 times, so I'm going to get a burn 2 out of the 3. 2, maybe 3 of those times, you know? Maybe if I'm lucky, maybe 4 or 5 even, right? But the concept was keep Entei on the field for as long as possible. This spread, do not use this spread. This spread is terrible, especially on this team. It does some things. It lived a few things. I'm going to be honest, guys. I could not tell you what this spread does. 196, second bump. It got all the kills that you needed, right? It got the kills I needed to get. Wasn't too mad about that. Speed, this is where I'm going to tell you to modify. You want to take out of something here and put back into speed. You definitely want to be 139 speed on this team, and that will come clear in a minute because I do have Icy Wind on my Flutter Mane, right? And I want to make sure that if my Entei is on the field and I click Icy Wind, I do not want to be slower than that Jolly Shen Pao after I've Icy Winded it, right? I need to go up to 139 to make sure I am capable of doing that. This was an oversight because I initially didn't have Ogerpon and Flutter Mane on this team. I had a Mungus Urshifu. I didn't need the speed, right? But when I modified it to put Ogerpon, Flutter Mane, I needed to go back and change this. I did not go back and change this. So if you're going to try this team out on Showdown, change this up to 139. I don't know what you drop. Maybe probably 4 here and just go up here or something like that, or 8, right? It'll go down to something like this, right? Something like that makes a whole lot more sense. I don't remember exactly what the defenses were for, so maybe that's the wrong modification. But the only modification I am certain of is this needs to be 139 on this team. Minimum. You could even go faster if you wanted to pair with Icy Wind. But this is absolutely the minimum that you need to be at. You cannot go slower. That was an oversight on my end. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Ogerpon as well. The spread, in my opinion, did not fit the team. But guys, I was just here to have fun with Raichu. My game plan was not to get top 4 at a tournament with this team. I'm actually surprised. I am still shocked that I got top 4 at the tournament with this team. Okay? These spreads are not finalized. You're probably seeing that by now, which I hate to admit, but it is the case, right? Once again, though, your standard Ogerpon, absolutely nothing crazy going on here. And the concept of this spread is this lives Banded E-Speed from Dragonite, Terra Normal beside the Shen Pao, and it also guarantees that I'm going to outpace the Lando Eyes, which is a very strong and consistent spread. However, my main concern with this is I have Icy Wind. I don't need this speed. I can afford to go down in speed, maybe go adamant, hit that 139, 140 mark, similar like I'm saying with that Entei, because I have the Icy Wind, right? I have Icy Wind, I have Electro Web, I have numerous ways to slow Pokemon down. I can capitalize on that and make this spread fit the team a little bit better. There's nothing wrong with this spread. This spread will get the job done, but sometimes going down, slowing it down, maybe being able to hit a little harder because you're able to go adamant on Ogerpon feels like it could capitalize on this piece a little bit better. Could turn maybe from just missing a couple KOs to actually picking up the KOs, getting a little bit bulkier, maybe instead of dying to something you're actually going to live now, right? Like, it is technically a more optimal spread to be slower. So I would say something like this, maybe it's 132 adamant, I think is the concept. Right, actually it's not 132. You go all the way, I would go all the way down to like 140ish depending on what you do with your Entei. Right? You can go up to 252, drop this down to 100. You're still living the Dragonite stuff with 252, 100. That is the cutoff there, right? You have more special defense because you have more HP, so your special defense, taking special attacks a little bit better than you were with the other way, and you're hitting that much harder. You go from 4 attack, Jolly, to max attack, to 76 attack adamant. You're doing a lot more damage this way. I would recommend making this change if I were you, but that is just a recommendation I would have. That is not what I did in the tournament, but probably would have done that had I had more time, or had I actually considered seriously modifying this spread. Fluttermane, like I said before, this is kind of the new uptick in Fluttermane with the Moonblast, Icy Wind, Taunt, Protect on that booster speed. Almost more of a fully supportive option, and then having the ability to go for that Moonblast damage when you so choose. And I was okay without special attack here, because if I ever had it beside Raichu, I could Helping Hand to make up for that, the lack of Specs, right? Specs 36 attack is not surprising. Like Timid 36 on Specs is not completely unheard of. So basically having Helping Hand to earn a Specs back and still being fast is really, really cool concept for me, right? I really wanted to prioritize bulk. I wanted this Fluttermane on the field as long as I could have this Fluttermane on the field. I don't remember exactly what the bulk does. I know I'm living Adamant, Shenpao, Icicle Crash, stuff like that, but my main concern here was making sure if I did have to switch out to Fluttermane, that I was capable of getting around the Shenpao still. I want it to be faster than Adamant Shenpao. Adamant Shenpao hits 187. A lot of people would normally hit, in my opinion, hit this 124 mark. So they hit that 188, outpace that Adamant Shenpao with their booster Fluttermanes. I've seen that. That is a number they tend to hit. And I wanted to creep that a little bit. I wanted to go up a little bit faster, right? Just see if I could be that faster booster energy Fluttermane. Because if I could be the faster Fluttermane, I could be putting on a lot more pressure a lot of the time. And I wanted to be that. I could go a little bit faster as well. But like I said, I didn't want to give up the ability to live Icicle Crashes and to be able to be on the field. Because getting that second Icy Wind off is so much better than just getting one. Getting the Icy Wind off and then being able to drop a Moonblast is so much better than just getting one. Getting a Taunt off, then being able to be alive after the turn and still being able to do something after felt much more valuable than any sort of extra speed I was going to get from dropping the defenses anymore. But this was the concept of Fluttermane. Like I said, guys, the team is nothing crazy. The team is nothing wild. This is the most wild part, right? The Raichu into the Dragonite, that tech on the team, it was fun, right? Raichu has its matchups. It does have its moments. You can bring Raichu without necessarily having the Dragonite. I remember playing a game and I just had a Raichu. They had an instant and I just used Raichu to get around the instant. I clicked Fake Out, then I would click Upper Hand into it if they cycled back in, because they brought the instant on after the Raichu had clicked Fake Out. I clicked Upper Hand. It got the flinch. I bought myself turns. The Raichu, really, really fun team, guys. That's pretty much the entire team building process, guys. I don't think it's a great team, but I think it's an incredibly fun team, and I really wanted to share it with you guys today. If you guys do enjoy this type of content, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help with the channel, and of course, I really do appreciate it. Of course, guys, if you are, I encourage you to try out this team. It's a ton of fun. If you're just looking to have some fun, definitely give it a shot yourselves. Rental, paste, all that stuff will be down below for you guys to try out. But with that, I'm going to stop rambling about Raichu now. I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in a future video.